Welcome to our channel, and today another story, another truth that cannot be ignored.
A cop stood in front of a burning building, arms outstretched like a gatekeeper, blocking the one man who could save lives. That man was Marcus Cole, a black volunteer firefighter and the most decorated smoke jumper in the state. But Officer Rick Halpern didn't see a hero. He just saw someone he thought didn't belong. "Stay back, volunteer," Halpern barked, shoving his hand at Marcus's chest. "This is real work. Leave it to the professionals." The flames roared louder behind him. Windows cracked. A woman screamed from inside the second floor. Marcus's jaw clenched, his dark eyes narrowing. Every muscle in his body screamed to move, to run in, but he stayed calm, for now. Because Marcus knew something Halpern didn't. This wasn't just any fire. The blaze had crawled into the attic, ready to swallow the whole structure in minutes. If they wasted even seconds arguing, people would die. But Halpern didn't care. He sneered. "You want to play hero? Go back to polishing hydrants. You're nothing but a volunteer." Marcus didn't answer. He didn't need to.
Behind them, Fire Chief Helen Ramirez shouted orders, her voice cutting through smoke. "Engine 2, hose line to the east wall. We've got civilians inside." She glanced at Marcus, saw the way he scanned the building with a veteran's eye, steady and unflinching. Something about him didn't match the word volunteer. But before she could speak, another cop stepped up. Officer Kyle Brenner, Halpern's rookie partner. He smirked. "What's the matter, Halpern? Afraid the volunteer will show you up?" Halpern bristled. "This guy doesn't belong. I said he stays out." Marcus finally spoke, voice low but firm. "There are kids in there. We don't have time for this." And just like that, the second-floor window shattered. Smoke billowed out. A man's voice cried, hoarse and desperate, "Help! Somebody, please!" The crowd screamed. Jasmine, Marcus's daughter, stood on the curb clutching her backpack, her eyes filled with terror. "Dad, please, do something!" Marcus's heart ripped in two. He wanted to run in, but he also wanted to keep his promise to Jasmine, the promise that he'd never risk his life recklessly again. Still, he could see it. The roofline sagging, the fire crawling fast. He had minutes, maybe less. Chief Ramirez shouted, "Halpern, move out of the way! I need every hand I can get!" But Halpern didn't budge. His pride swelled. "Chief, with respect, this man's not qualified. If something happens, it's on you." The crowd gasped at his defiance. Marcus's fists curled. He knew this dance. He'd seen men like Halpern before, men who wore their prejudice like armor, blind to the danger around them. But Marcus wasn't just going to charge past him, not yet, because Marcus was already working out a strategy. He studied the fire's movements, memorizing escape routes, checking for structural collapse, all in seconds. To Halpern, it looked like hesitation. To Marcus, it was calculation. Suddenly, the restaurant owner, Ethan McCall, stumbled forward screaming, "My wife! My son! They're inside!" He tried to rush past, but Halpern held him back. "Stay down, sir. We got this handled." "Handled?" Ethan's voice cracked. "You're standing here arguing while my family is dying!"
The crowd shouted in agreement. Phones came up, recording. Among them was Linda Owens, a local journalist, eyes sharp behind her camera lens. She whispered to herself, "Oh, this is a story." Chief Ramirez had had enough. "Cole, go! That's an order!" Halpern whipped around. "Chief, you can't be serious." "I said move!" Ramirez barked. For the first time, Marcus smiled faintly, just a flicker. Then he pulled his helmet down, tightened his gloves, and charged toward the inferno. The crowd roared as he disappeared into the smoke. But on the curb, Jasmine trembled. Tears streamed down her cheeks. She whispered, "Please, God, bring him back." Inside, the heat was blistering, the roar deafening. Marcus dropped low, crawling through black smoke. He moved with precision, every step guided by instincts honed from years of parachuting into wildfires. He found the boy first, unconscious on the kitchen floor. Marcus hoisted him onto his shoulder, lungs burning, vision clouded. Then the mother, trapped under a beam. He gritted his teeth, lifted with everything in him, and pulled her free. 2 lives, now 3 hearts pounding as one. Outside, the crowd held its breath. Minutes dragged. Flames leapt higher. Halpern sneered. He's not coming out. Told you, amateurs get themselves killed. But then, the front door exploded open. Marcus stumbled out, carrying the boy in his arms, guiding the mother by the hand. The crowd erupted. Jasmine screamed with joy. "Daddy!" Chief Ramirez's jaw dropped. Even hardened firefighters stared. But Halpern, his face went pale, because deep down, he knew this was only the beginning. The cheers outside the burning restaurant still echoed when Marcus set the boy down gently on the pavement. Paramedics swarmed in, voices urgent but hopeful. The mother clutched Marcus's soot-streaked jacket, sobbing, "You saved us! You saved us!" Marcus only nodded. "Just breathe. You're safe now." But Officer Rick Halpern wasn't clapping. He stood stiff, face twisted, pride bleeding out of him with every cheer. He spat to his rookie partner, Kyle Brenner. "Unbelievable. Guy gets lucky once, and suddenly he's a hero." Kyle shifted nervously. I mean, he pulled out 2 people alive. That's not luck, Rick." Halpern's jaw clenched. He didn't like the way the crowd was looking at Marcus, like he was the authority, not the cops, like Halpern was nothing. And in Halpern's world, that was unacceptable. Chief Ramirez walked up to Marcus, eyes blazing with a mix of awe and curiosity. "Cole, that was textbook. You move like you'd done this 100 times before." Marcus just shrugged. "Fire's fire. You read it, you move." Ramirez tilted her head. "Where'd you train?" But before Marcus could answer, Halpern cut in, voice dripping with disdain. "Doesn't matter, Chief. He put civilians at risk going in blind. He broke the chain of command." The crowd booed him instantly. Someone yelled, "He saved them, you idiot!" Another voice, "If he waited on you, they'd be dead." Phones caught every word, and Linda Owens, the reporter, smirked behind her camera. Ramirez glared at Halpern. "You were the one blocking the door, officer, not him." Halpern opened his mouth, but Marcus quietly stepped in. "It's fine, Chief. Let it go." But it wasn't fine, not for Halpern. The humiliation burned deeper than the fire itself. That night, Marcus walked home with Jasmine. She clung to his hand, still shaken but beaming with pride. "Dad," she whispered, "you were amazing, like one of those superheroes in my comic books." Marcus chuckled softly. "Superheroes wear capes. I just wear turnout gear." But when he looked into her eyes, he felt the weight. She deserved to know the truth someday, about the fires he jumped into from the sky, about the medals tucked away in a box in the closet. For now, though, Marcus kept it hidden. He wanted Jasmine to love him for who he was at home, not the legend strangers once called him. What Marcus didn't know was that Halpern was already planning his revenge. 2 days later, the town hall buzzed with chatter. A community meeting had been called after the fire, and everyone showed up. Families wanted to thank their heroes. Citizens wanted to demand answers about safety. And of course, reporters wanted a headline. Chief Ramirez sat at the front table, flanked by council members. Marcus stood quietly near the back, Jasmine by his side. But Halpern, he marched in like he owned the place, uniform crisp, voice loud. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "let's talk about what really happened. You've all been fed a story, but the truth is that so-called volunteer firefighter risked lives. He ignored protocol. He could have turned that rescue into a tragedy." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Halpern pointed straight at Marcus. "This man isn't even certified to be running into burning buildings. He's a liability, and I won't stand by while people put their faith in someone who could get them killed." The room buzzed with murmurs. Some looked at Marcus, unsure. Others frowned at Halpern's aggression. Jasmine's eyes welled with tears. She whispered, "Dad, why is he saying that?" Marcus knelt beside her. His voice was calm, but his chest burned. "Because people like him can't stand when someone else shines. But don't worry, truth doesn't stay hidden forever." From the front, Chief Ramirez slammed her palm on the table. "Enough, Halpern. We all saw Cole save those people with our own eyes." But Halpern smirked. "Did you, Chief? Or did you see someone running around recklessly? There's a big difference between luck and skill." The tension was thick. For a moment, Marcus thought about standing up, shouting back, telling the whole room who he was, what he'd done. But instead, he stayed quiet. Because Marcus wasn't about to waste his story on the wrong stage. He was waiting, watching. And sure enough, Linda Owens, the journalist, raised her hand. "Officer Halpern," she said, her voice sharp, "if you're accusing Marcus Cole of misconduct, do you have proof? Video? Testimony? Anything?"
Halpern froze. The crowd leaned in. Linda smirked, lifting her phone. "Because from where I was standing, all my footage shows you blocking the door while people screamed inside." The crowd erupted. Gasps, boos, shouts. Halpern's face turned beet red. That's out of context!" But it was too late. The whispers were spreading. Phones were already uploading. Marcus finally spoke, his deep voice steady. "I didn't come here for credit. I came here to help. If that's a crime, then I'll take the blame." The room fell silent at his humility. But Jasmine squeezed his hand and whispered, "You're not just helping, Dad. You're showing them who you really are." Halpern stormed out of the meeting, face twisted in rage. But as he left, he muttered under his breath, "I'll find something on you, Cole. And when I do, you're finished." Marcus heard him. And for the first time that night, he smiled. Because Marcus wasn't afraid of being exposed. He was just waiting for the right time to reveal the truth himself. And when that time came, Halpern's whole world would burn hotter than any fire. The days after the town hall were tense. Marcus noticed the looks. Some people treated him like a hero. Others, poisoned by Halpern's words, whispered doubts. And Halpern, he wasn't done. He was obsessed. He dug through volunteer rosters, questioned firefighters, and even showed up outside Marcus's modest house pretending it was routine. But Marcus didn't flinch. He kept volunteering at the station, training recruits, living his life. Jasmine asked one night, "Dad, why don't you just tell everyone who you are? About the smoke jumping, the medals, everything?" Marcus stirred the pot of stew on the stove, silent for a moment. Then he said quietly, "Because real heroes don't announce themselves. The truth comes out when it needs to."
But Jasmine's little voice cracked. "What if it never comes out?" Marcus smiled softly. "Then I'll keep doing the right thing anyway." The test came sooner than he expected. A week later, a factory fire erupted on the edge of town. Thick black smoke poured into the sky. Workers were trapped inside. Engines screamed down the street. Sirens wailed. The town raced toward chaos once again. Chief Ramirez arrived on scene, barking orders. Marcus suited up beside the volunteers. But then, Halpern's cruiser pulled up. He stepped out with a grin. "Not today, Cole. You're not setting foot near that building." Marcus froze. "People are inside." Halpern shrugged. "Not my problem if you're too reckless to follow rules. I already told command, if you try to enter, I'll arrest you for obstruction." The crowd gasped. "Arrest? For saving lives?"
Marcus stared at him, calm but cold. "If you block me again, people will die." Halpern sneered. "Better them than your ego trip. Step back."
Chief Ramirez stormed over. "Halpern, what the hell are you doing? We don't have time for this." But Halpern wasn't listening. He raised his hand like a wall. The flames hissed, windows shattered, smoke thickened. People inside pounded on the glass, screaming. The crowd screamed back, "Let him go in! Let him go in!" Phones were out everywhere. Linda Owens, the journalist, was front and center, streaming live this time. Marcus glanced at her camera, and then at Jasmine, standing behind the caution tape, tears rolling down her face. That was it. That was the moment. Marcus stepped forward, his voice cutting through the roar of fire and panic. "You want to know who I am, officer?" His voice thundered. "I'm Marcus Cole. I'm a Smokejumper, the most decorated in this state's history. I've jumped into 37 wildfires. I've saved hundreds of lives. And you," he jabbed a finger at Halpern, "you've spent every second of your career stopping people, not saving them." The crowd erupted. Gasps, shouts, applause. Linda's live stream blew up in seconds, comments scrolling fast. "He's a smoke jumper? This cop is done. Let the man save lives." Halpern's face drained of color. He stammered, "You're lying." Marcus didn't flinch. He pulled a small, weathered box from his gear bag. Inside, a row of medals gleamed even through the smoke. He held them up for all to see. "Lying?" Marcus said evenly. "These don't lie. Neither do the families I've carried out of burning hells while men like you stood safe behind caution tape." The crowd roared. Even Chief Ramirez froze in awe. She whispered, "Smokejumper." Halpern tried again. He forged those. He's not even—" But Marcus cut him off. "You want proof? Ask the U.S. Forest Service. Ask the state fire marshal. Ask anyone who fought beside me when the sky itself was on fire." The factory groaned. A beam collapsed with a crash. Screams echoed from inside. And Marcus roared, "Enough talk!" He shoved past Halpern, who stumbled backward. The crowd cheered. Ramirez barked, "Go with him, now!" Marcus charged in, mask on, moving like a ghost through smoke. He found 3 workers huddled, coughing, eyes wild with terror. He herded them out, guided them under his arm. When he emerged, dragging them into daylight, the crowd exploded. People cried, clapped, screamed his name. Jasmine ran to him, hugging his waist so tight he could barely breathe. Halpern? He was surrounded. Phones in his face. People yelling, "You tried to stop him again! Coward! Racist!" Linda Owens stood inches from him, microphone ready. "Officer Halpern, care to explain why you blocked the most decorated smoke jumper in the state from entering 2 burning buildings on camera?" Halpern's mouth opened, closed. Nothing came out. Because he knew it was over. 2 weeks later, headlines screamed across the state. "Decorated smoke jumper exposes racist cop who blocked him from saving lives. Hero firefighter versus power-abusing officer. Guess who won?" Halpern was suspended pending investigation. His rookie partner resigned quietly. Chief Ramirez personally visited Marcus's house, standing tall but humbled. "Cole, you've earned more than respect. You've earned our trust. Full-time position. Any rank you want." Marcus smiled, shaking his head. "I'm not here for rank, just to serve." Ramirez grinned. "Then serve, on your terms." Linda Owens' live stream had gone viral, millions of views. Donations poured into the firehouse. Kids wore "Cole the Smokejumper" t-shirts. And Jasmine? She walked to school with her chin higher than ever. When kids whispered about her dad, it wasn't in doubt anymore. It was in admiration. One afternoon, she asked him, "Dad, does being a hero feel good?" Marcus knelt, brushing soot-stained hair from her face. It feels better when people finally see the truth, but the real work, that happens whether anyone's watching or not. She hugged him, whispering, "You'll always be my hero." Months later, Halpern was gone from the force. No badge, no power, just a name everyone spat out in disgust. And Marcus? He was back where he belonged, training the next generation of firefighters, teaching them that courage wasn't about glory, it was about action. 6 months later, the little town's firehouse looked different, brighter. New trucks gleamed in the bay, fresh gear hung neatly on racks. Kids came by for tours, staring wide-eyed at the heroes in yellow jackets. At the center of it all was Marcus Cole. Not in the spotlight, not on posters, just on the training floor, showing young recruits how to read the curl of smoke, how to move with discipline when fear screamed at them to run. "Don't fight the fire with ego," he told them. "Fight it with skill. Fight it with heart." They listened, because this wasn't just a volunteer talking. This was a man who had lived in the flames and walked out carrying lives. And standing in the doorway, Jasmine watched proudly. She'd grown stronger in those 6 months, her shoulders a little straighter, her eyes a little braver. After the session, she ran up to him. "Dad, guess what?" Marcus grinned. "What's that?" "I joined the junior firefighter program. They said I was too young, but then I told them about you, and they said if I trained with you, they'd let me in." Marcus blinked, emotion swelling. "Jasmine, you don't have to be me." She shook her head fiercely. "I don't want to be you. I want to be like you." He laughed, hugging her tight, hiding the tears stinging his eyes. Meanwhile, the story of Officer Halpern had taken a very different turn. Without his badge, he had no shield. The department cut him off. The town shunned him. Every time he walked into a diner, whispers followed. "That's the cop who blocked the Smokejumper." He tried to fight it, tried to sue, tried to claim he was the victim, but the videos told the truth. The world had seen him, and there was no unseeing it. One chilly evening, Marcus and Jasmine walked past the same restaurant he had once carried a boy and his mother from. It had been rebuilt, brighter than before. Lights twinkled, laughter spilled out the windows. The owner, Ethan McCall, spotted them. He rushed outside, shaking Marcus's hand so hard it hurt. "You saved my family, Marcus. We named a dish after you. The Cole Special. Free for life." Marcus chuckled. "I don't need free food, Ethan." But Ethan's eyes gleamed. "It's not about free food. It's about honor. Every customer who orders it hears your story. Every kid learns your name, because heroes deserve to be remembered." Marcus glanced at Jasmine, who was grinning ear to ear, and for the first time in a long time, he let himself accept the honor. "Then I'll take 1 Cole Special," he said softly. Later that night, as father and daughter walked home under the stars, Jasmine asked quietly, "Dad, do you think Officer Halpern ever thinks about what he did?" Marcus stopped, looked up at the sky. His voice was calm, almost sad. "Men like Halpern, they don't think, they react. They cling to pride like it's power. But pride without honor always crumbles." Jasmine slipped her hand into his. "Then promise me something." "What's that?" "Promise me that no matter what people say, you'll always be you. Brave, honest, kind. Even when nobody's watching." Marcus squeezed her hand, his throat thick. "That's the only promise I know how to keep." They walked on, their shadows long under the streetlights. Injustice shouts, but courage speaks louder. Because the world may try to block you, silence you, even shame you. But when you stand firm in truth, when you act with honor, even the darkest smoke cannot hide your light. If this story moved you, don't keep it to yourself, share it, so more people can see the power of courage and justice. And if you want more stories like this, full of drama, heart, and life lessons, make sure you subscribe because the next story might just change the way you see the world. And remember, the strongest fire doesn't destroy. It reveals who we really are.